Budget, Homeland Security, and Agricultural Committees. Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being with me.
Yeah, Maria, it's great to see you, and I'm happy you chose purple. That's the color of my alma mater, Kansas State University, so that's good.
Oh, well, go Kansas State. Good, I'm glad. Senator, I got to get your take on what is going on here with the Biden family influence peddling, as well as the dereliction of duty. You've been to the border plenty of times. Should Alejandro Mayorkas be impeached?
You know, absolutely, and we've called for a sense of the Senate to do just that, to encourage the House to do that. First of all, he's allowed 6 million people to cross the border illegally under this particular president, and now he's manipulating the process to bring people across even more efficiently, illegally, but more efficiently. He has something called a CBP One app that people can set across the river in Texas and communicate with our own Border Patrol to bring them in more efficiently and then release them, that he's loosened up these asylum claims. And again, 6 million people, over 200 terrorists this year, 8,000 Chinese nationals have crossed our border this year alone. Remember, every day, 300 Americans dying from the fentanyl poisoning as well. And we haven't even touched on the subject of human trafficking.
What about those Chinese nationals apprehended at the border? Because I'm glad you raised this. The numbers are up 1,300%. That's staggering. Do you believe that Xi Jinping is sending these people here to set up camp in America and then wait for further direction in case that there's a war? Well, what is going on?
Yeah, it's one more step of the Chinese Communist Party. And you'll think of CIA agents, those type of people that are infiltrating our system, that are just trying to blend into the countryside. They're working on their master's degree. They got odd jobs, that type of thing. They're setting up camp next to an Air Force base. So yes, this is part of the plan. And then as this fentanyl is being sold, these people are help laundering that money as well and getting it back to China.
Well, how is this possible that this administration does not respond to all of this? I mean, you've got the spy balloon that has traveled our country for a week, getting information on our military installations. You've got Chinese police stations. You've got this years and years of intellectual property theft costing our companies hundreds of billions of dollars. You've got the cover-up of COVID-19. And what are we, 3 years away from COVID? And the Biden administration just now, this week, suspended funding to the Wuhan Institute of Virology, really, citing the lab's failure to provide documentation about the practice, Senator?
Exactly. And here's our frustration. Over 2 years ago, we called for this funding to stop, that there was plenty of evidence to say, even then, that most likely this virus was made and leaked from that laboratory. But the WIV is just the tip of the iceberg. This is how incompetent this particular administration is. They're still funding EcoHealth, which is working hand in glove with the Chinese Communist Party to develop bioterrorism weapons. Look, we gave them the technology. We showed them how to make this COVID-19 virus. They're using that same technology to build bigger and uglier viruses out there as well. Right now, we're partially funding a project where something called the Global Virome Project is collecting DNA from all over the world that's going to put more technology in the hands of China.
Wow, this is just incredible. Would you be poised to pull the economic lever on this and stop Americans from investing in companies that are tied to the Chinese military? Aren't we inadvertently funding the expansion of our #1 adversary?
Exactly, Maria. And the good news is I see it happening every day. Every day I'm talking to companies that are bringing their products back to the Americas. And I realize we're not going to make everything in America, in the United States, but let's bring it back to this side of the world. Let's make them in South America, Central America, of course, everything we can here in the United States. I see it happening in the private sector. So we are trying to do that.
Senator, I know that you all are about to go on the August recess, but you had more legislative positioning for the fall this week. I want to get your take on these pending bills, which will go into a compressed September when you all get back, because the Congress is about to leave for the 37-day congressional August recess. And you've got the FAA, the Farm Bill, government spending bills. Can you give us an update on any of that, as well as the Senate's defense bill?
Yeah, I'll do my best. Look, for whatever reason, Senator Schumer, who controls the gavel, the American people gave the Democrats the gavel to control the agenda. We're not working on Mondays or Tuesdays. We're not getting started till Tuesdays at 5:30 p.m. and we're shutting shop down about Thursday at 3 p.m. I assume it's because he wants his people out there campaigning. So I really don't know if we'll get much of any of this done. Perhaps the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, with a little luck, we'll get it finished up next week, but I'm very concerned. This is a $900 billion bill, a nation that has a $33 trillion national debt. We've seen this bill grow from over the past 4 or 5 years from 7 to 800 now to $900 billion, and yet there's no funding in it to address our biggest, number one, most immediate national security threat, and that's our southern border. I'm curious to see what we're going to do with Ukraine funding. We've already given Ukraine $113 billion, and folks up there are saying that that's still not enough. In addition to this $900 billion NDAA, they want more funding for Ukraine. Our military is currently funding late-term abortions. They're funding transgender surgeries as well, and then the hormones as well. We have a military more focused on pronouns than they are lethality. So we're going to push back a little bit. I want a strong amendment process. I want to get through the NDAA, but I'm obligated to be the patron to protect America's finances and make sure we're investing them in the best places and most wisely.
Well, hold on. I don't understand. The military is funding late month abortions. I don't understand that. And also, what about defense? I mean, isn't it true now that China has a more effective Navy than the United States does? They have more ships than we do.
Yeah, they do. So China does have a larger Navy. We'll probably never catch up with them. So what has the military industrial complex been doing with this money for the past decade? And that's just it. They don't even know where their assets are. My job in Congress is to hold the military accountable, just like I would the State Department, any department up there, that they're not immune from being held accountable. But yes, and this is why I'm supporting Tommy Tuberville on the abortion issue in the military, that our military is paying for late-term abortions for their military personnel to be transported to states where late-term abortions can be done. They're funding transgender surgery. They're funding the continuous hormonal treatment as well. I don't think that's what Americans want. Americans don't want federal dollars to be funding abortions, especially late-term abortions at that.
Unbelievable. That's just stunning. Late-term abortions being funded by the military. Meanwhile, China is funding its military with new technology to go into people's heads. I mean, that's how crazy it is. Senator, thanks very much for being here this morning. We'll keep a spotlight on it for sure, sir.
Yeah, have a great weekend, Maria. Thank you.
And